Well, good morning, you beautiful people. You know, guys, God is good. It's all right. God's good. All the things that are going on, it's all right. It's okay. God's still good. He didn't stop being good just because you got bad news. It's all right. Did you guys ever see that movie Casablanca with, what's his name? Humphrey Bogart, that's his name, with the cigarette, yeah. In the movie, there's a song, who's got trouble? And then they say, we got trouble. He says, how much trouble? And they say, too much trouble. And then, well, that's all right, just knock on wood. I have here some leftovers from Rick Kemple's funeral. If you did not get one of these and you would like it, I'm putting it right here so you can grab it at your leisure. They will be gone come tomorrow, so it's kind of like do it now or never, huh? Also, I have a thank you card here from Joanne about the situation that up in Albuquerque. If you'd like to read that for those who gave, it's right here. And I'll leave it right there until after service. So if you'd like to read through that, you can. Besides that, for those who had nominations to be on the board, if you have that packet to return, Todd's not going to be here, obviously. You can kind of see that. I don't know exactly where he's going to be, but I imagine it's going to be something to do with the Patriots, huh? Did you guys forget that the Super Bowl is today? I totally forgot. My bad. Yeah. Now, obviously, Todd is super into the Patriots, so I hear that they are playing today or something. Meanwhile, we got Skip back there with the Seahawks, so we got an honest and good rivalry going on here. Meanwhile, I'm just happy that I woke up today and the Cowboys weren't. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm just kidding. But anyways, so Todd's not going to be here. So if you have those board nomination pamphlets, just get them to me, and I will get them to Todd when he gets back. We have a board meeting tomorrow, so I'll probably just give it to him then. Also, don't forget that I guess it'd be this coming, so because it's Sunday, so it's the beginning of the week. This week is the Widows and Widowers Luncheon. So for those of you who did not volunteer to help, make sure that you're praying for it. We want this to be a time of encouragement for these widows and widowers. We want them to walk away feeling loved, and that's something that we're definitely pursuing there. So be in prayer about it. And also, if you know any widows or widowers, point them our way. We'll sign them up, and we'll get moving on that. So I think that's all I was supposed to mention. Can you click on that? Oh, never mind. You got it. So when you go in very patriotic areas, you can just kind of tell, can't you? It's a whole different vibe. When you live in patriotic areas, you see people do things like they'll have American flags as their shirt. They'll have like those little American flags that go up towards their house. They'll have cakes that have the American flag on it. They'll decorate with the American flag. We're in a patriotic area. There's just this whole field that goes with it. People have flag stands in their yards, and they actually follow the correct protocol of when it's half-mast and whatnot. See, where I grew up in Southern California, that was never a thing. You had like the school would have a flagpole, but then once I moved from California, I saw all these people have flagpoles in their yards, and I was like, this is wild. Did somebody come from the city to take care of this? And then lo and behold, it was actually, just the guy that lived there would go out and work on the flag. There's this whole different feel there. When you're talking about the government or American history, it's the same history, but it's just a completely different feel to it. For instance, it tends to be more optimistic about the state of our government, the history of our government. You go to places that are not as patriotic, and there's this whole, and I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm not trying to make light of it or anything like that. But there's this whole different feel where it's like America is an evil nation, and the colonizers were taking advantage of people, and all these different things. It's just a whole different atmosphere. You know what I mean? But when you're in patriotic areas, it's not like that. It's more like, I love America, the land of the free. It's just a whole different thing. These areas tend to be conservative, but not always. Well, we've been in the book of Philippians where Paul wrote a letter to a church that was in an ancient city called Philippi. Philippi was very similar. It was a very patriotic place. I know it might seem hard to realize that there were people who could be patriotic of the Roman government, but they existed. One of the things that Roman citizens had as a benefit was in the city of Philippi, they did not have to pay taxes. If Roman citizens did not have to pay taxes. So, I mean, that's nice. Now, the people who lived there before the Romans got there, they still had to pay taxes, but the Roman citizens did not. Also, beyond that, Philippi had a very large veteran population. So these were guys, ex-military guys, and, a very good population there. But then also they had the imperial cult. Now, this wasn't unique to Philippi. It was kind of all throughout the Roman Empire. If you don't know what the imperial cult is, the long and short of it is that Roman citizens were expected to worship the emperor. That's the long and short of it. It's more complicated than that, but that's the basic idea. There were a few people groups that had exemptions, one of which were the Jews, because they were all like, no, this is a hill we're dying on. We're only going to worship Yahweh and nothing else. And so eventually Rome decided, let's just go ahead and throw them a bone. Let them have a way with it and try and make peace that way. It didn't work, and eventually it ended with Jerusalem getting destroyed, but I'm getting off topic. So today, we are looking at continuing in Philippians with one single verse from chapter 1, and looking at the way that we are citizens of heaven. So please stand for the reading of the word. I promise it won't be long, unless I read real slow, which could happen. Just one thing. As citizens of heaven, live your life worthy of the gospel of Christ. Then, whether I come and see you or I'm absent, I will hear about you that you are standing firm in one spirit, in one accord, contending together for the faith of the gospel. Lord, we thank you for your word. I pray you'd bless your church. Pray you'd guide them. Lord, give them ears to hear whatever you'd have them to hear. That you would continue the work that you've started in them. That you would build them up and encourage them and raise them up. That they'd be pillars. Not crumbling pillars, but strong, mighty pillars in your name. Lord, I pray you'd guide my mouth. Help me to say the things you'd have me to say. And Lord, help me to be made less and you to be made much, much, much more. Always from this pulpit. We love you, God. Amen. You may be seated. So the main idea I want you to get from this is, citizens succeed in unity. This was a real big thing you heard after 9/11. The day after 9/11 was probably the most patriotic day I've ever witnessed. Everybody was on the same side. Everybody wanted the problem fixed. We wanted to be united in adversity. Well, then came along the years since COVID, and it has been like nothing but everybody at each other's throats. So the main idea I want to focus on today is that citizens succeed in unity. We rise, we fall together. That doesn't just apply as American citizens, but as citizens of heaven. Now, how many times do I say citizens today? Whoever gives me a total count after the words can get a piece of gum. How about that? Not really. I hate to hear when I use the word over and over again. So we'll just go back and just the very beginning of that verse, read that just first part. Just one thing. This is, different translations are going to say that a little bit differently. But the main idea is like you're holding up a finger. One thing, real quick note here. Just one thing, as citizens of heaven. See, this is the problem that one of the problems that Paul was having with the Philippian church is patriotism, which was, it can be a good thing. The patriotism is not a problem. But the problem was that they were Roman citizens who didn't necessarily see themselves as anything more than Roman citizens. They didn't really see that they had loyalty, I guess you could say, to God's kingdom. They saw loyalty to Rome. It was a very patriotic place. When you live in a very patriotic place, you kind of get that in you. Now, once again, my point is definitely not, we shouldn't be patriots, let's all be anarchists. That's not what I'm saying at all. Not at all. But we also, like them, we're more than Americans. We're more than Americans. We live in a temporary nation while we look forward to going to our true home, our permanent home. And my main point, I guess, is what I'm getting at here is, don't allow Satan to get your focus entirely on the here and now. It's important that you live in the now. Like there's things that you got to work through and all that. But we are more than American citizens, just like they were more than Roman citizens. It's more than the different things that are going on with the stock prices, or with the housing market, or with the credit scores and all these different things. It's more than what's going on with our bank points, and it's more than what's going on with who's in office, and with gas prices. It's more than that. These things, I know they affect our lives, but our life is more than all those things. We are citizens of heaven. That's where our loyalty lies. And with that being said, we do not belong here. I think this is one of the things that is hardest to remember, because we go through our life always living in here. We never leave here. This is all we know. And it's easy to allow yourself to think that this is all that there is, but we don't belong here. This is just a temporary dark room that once the door opens up to glory, it's just going to be a whole different world. Don't let the dark room make you think that this is all that there is. No, there's a whole world outside of this dark room, and we'll live to see it one day. A lot of anger comes from seeing ourselves as merely American. Now, we are American, but we're not just American. We are more than Americans. We are citizens of heaven. If we were born in Mexico, we would be citizens of Mexico. Yeah, but we'd be more than Mexicans. We'd be citizens of heaven. If we were born in Romania, we would be more than Romanians. We'd be citizens of heaven. It's good to be patriotic. It's good to be for something more than against something. Those are all great. But I think it's absolutely essential in these very divisive times that we live in that we renew our focus as citizens of heaven. We have to renew this focus. Because at the end of the day, look, let's say I'm a socialist and you're a capitalist. The main point is Jesus. Jesus is the uniting factor. Let's say I think President Trump is the worst president in the world. Let's say you think he's the best president in the world. At the end of the day, it's about Jesus Christ uniting us. The church cannot be divided like our culture is being divided. We will not stand if we follow their standard of everybody at each other's throats. That can't happen. In the church, we have to be, dare I say, better than that. We have to be above that. We have to strive for peace and unity even when we don't want to. Here's a great little self-check. When you're in a conflict, or there's a conflict going on, are you more concerned with your reputation here, how people view you, or are you more concerned with your reputation in heaven? How does God view you in these times? Well, this person's mad at me, and I messed up this, and, this person, and it feels like my whole life's falling apart. But what's your heavenly reputation? What does God have to say about this? Because if you're living in sin, by all means, change it. But if the whole world is against you, but heaven thinks the world of you, oh well. We're all going to die one day anyways. It doesn't matter if I die the prettiest girl at school, huh? We're going to take that sound clip right there and put it on a CD. Another thing that kind of gets all of our attention is the news. Now, I hate the news. This is what I do. I go real quick and I look at all the highlights just to kind of get an idea. If there's something that is kind of vague, I maybe read a little bit more, but that's it, and then I move on. I never watch Fox. I never watch CNN. I'm not looking to get upset and offended all the time, so I don't do it. I don't do it. Now, if you can watch the news without getting all offended and bent out of shape, great, more power to you. But if it's something that is constantly causing you to lose sleep at night and you're worried about things and you don't even have the peace of God anymore, just turn off the TV. Well, you got to stay informed. I agree, you should be informed, but there comes a point when the human brain cannot handle any more information. You know what I mean? There's only so much we can handle in any given space of time. And then you're just like, okay, I'm shutting down now. You know, when you have a really rough day at work and then you come home and it turns out that that's the day that your kid decided to light the rug on fire? That was the day. Everybody has that moment of like, this is too much. So if the news is irritating you, are you looking at the news as, this is not my home? I don't belong here. Or are you looking at the news as, this is an all-consuming problem that I cannot see God's kingdom? I can't see God anymore. All I can see is the problems around me. And there's plenty of problems. Would you like me to tell you what's on the news this week? No, thank you, right? But the culture around us separates everybody into an us versus them. You're either for us or against us. So you're either mega or you're woke. There's nothing else. There's no in between. There's, no diversity. You're either for us or against us. This is a very destructive way of looking at the world, and it'll allow you to see enemies where they don't exist. Go out and say hi to your neighbor. Just say hi. Hey, diddly-o, neighbor, how are you doing? It's all right. The things that we're seeing around us, especially you older ones, you've seen a lot of stuff. You've seen a lot of stuff, okay? From the Cold War and maybe some of you World War I. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. But either way, you've seen a lot of things, okay? Don't let the temporary urgency of what you see on the news and what you see going on around you fool you into thinking that this is different than all those other times. No, this is just more global than all those other times, okay? It's just more global. What's happening is Satan is getting us distracted. And do you know why? Jesus told a parable and said that some seed grew up and it was growing well, but then the cares of this world choked it out and it died. That's what Satan's doing. He's just keeping your mind preoccupied with everything. Everything is the end of the world. Everything needs your immediate attention, and you need to worry about it because that's going to change it? No, not at all. But so that way, somebody's worrying about it. Because if it's not me, who will? Remember in all these things and all these divisive times that we live, when everybody's at each other's throat, even when it gets to holidays and you guys can't have a good family meal without somebody arguing about something to do with the president or the mayor or whatever, remember in all these things, live your life worthy of the gospel. This is what it says. Just one thing as citizens of heaven, live your life worthy of the gospel of Christ. Remember, we're citizens of heaven. We're accountable for the way that we live, not for making sure that the world around us is perfect, but for how we live. So live your life worthy of the gospel. Presidents, mayors, pastors, whoever, they're always going to disappoint you. Never put somebody on a pedestal. Never do that. Never do that. It doesn't matter if we're talking about in politics or in the real world. It doesn't matter. Never put somebody on a pedestal. Because what's going to happen is something's going to eventually knock them off, and you're going to be so disgruntled and bitter about it, you're going to go to pieces. It's not going to work. It doesn't matter. Even me, don't put me on a pedestal because I'm definitely going to disappoint you. Bad things are going to happen in our city, but our emperor is God, and our land is heaven. Don't lose your salvation over your Americanness. You hear what I'm saying? Be an American, enjoy freedoms, but there's sometimes that as an American, or as a citizen of heaven, you have to do things that as your American freedom allows you to do. Right? As an American, can I go out in this parking lot? Well, maybe not the parking lot, but can I go out into that sidewalk right there and worship Satan? I sure can. As an American citizen, I sure can. Freedom and justice for all. Right? Now, as a Christian, can I do that? Well, no. As an American, do I have the right to free speech? As a Christian, should I learn how to also close my mouth too? See what I mean? Sometimes you have things you can do as an American that you probably should not do as a Christian. There's a lot of tension right now with the whole situation with ICE. I would strongly discourage Christians taking up arms against the government. I would strongly discourage that. I actually went to one church one time where they had like this little group. I forget what it's called. But basically, they were this patriotic group. I forget what they're called, but it wasn't like an official group. And their idea was they were looking for an excuse to take up arms against the government. Well, you're going to find that. Remember back when we got upset about a little bit of taxes, so we threw some tea in the ocean? Remember that? If we're going to start a war over tea, I think we can probably find other reasons to rebel as well. I'm just saying there's always going to be that reason. But remember, what Paul constantly encourages us to do is live at peace in the society. Live at peace. As much as it depends on you, live at peace. He even goes on in 2 Timothy to say, live quiet lives. Don't be a nuisance in the community. Live a quiet life. And it's actually the same word that he uses, if memory serves correctly, it's actually the same word that he uses about women being quiet in the church. Don't be causing a problem in the church. It's the same word that's being used. If there's anything that I've learned from being a parent, I think it's this: you cannot control everybody else. Oh boy, you can't control everything. If your kids just have a knack of doing everything that you don't want them to do, I think. But whatever you do, this or that, let it be worthy and honorable as a citizen of heaven. Live your life worthy of heaven. The whole thing. What does that look like? Well, be faithful to your spouse. Don't be thinking about other people. Take the time to encourage one another. Don't lie about others or spread stories, especially when you don't even know the story. Take the time to serve people. These kinds of things. Live your life worthy of heaven. And I'll build on that. Doesn't mean that you're earning your salvation. We'll build on that later. Let's get back to the verse, though. And it says, then, whether I come and see you or I'm absent, I will hear about you. So whether or not Paul is freed from prison, he's still going to hear about the good that they're doing. Let's go on with the verse here. That you are standing firm in one spirit and one accord. Standing firm in one spirit and one accord. Now, what does that mean? Well, you'd think, sometimes I'm surprised at the verses that are taken out of context to cause problems. I guess there's somebody out there that's always looking for, for instance, I was listening to one pastor. His name's Josh Howerton. He's a very good pastor. I enjoy listening to him for myself. And he preached this message, and there was this guy on TikTok or whatever that took a clip of it and was trying to refute him to try and make his ministry more popular so he could have like a video talking against Josh Howerton. And sorry, I was just trying to think. I might have gotten his name mixed up, but I think it's that. Anyways, and so basically he made a video just for the clicks, just for the views. And in the verse, he quotes the verse that was quoted in the KJV instead of in the NLT. And it reads a little bit differently, yeah, but it says the same thing. And so he was trying to say, because it says different, the thing that this guy is saying is not true. It's like, that's a good example of not having unity. If you go online, you're going to find 100 different pastors denouncing 100 other different pastors because of this, that, or the other thing. There's everything, everyone wants to be divisive as long as it gets me clicks on the internet or views on the internet. This is a very eat and be eaten world around us. I think it's really important that we take a step back and really listen to what's being said here. Standing firm in one spirit and one accord. So the idea here that's kind of being given is that of soldiers. Soldiers' information. Now, when soldiers are saying information, there's a lot of really fantastic things that happen. I'm going to highlight two of them that are really essential because the idea is that soldiers, information moving together. Okay, you kind of get that in your head. Now, I'm going to operate under the belief that most of you do not study military history. Does anybody here study military history? No. Okay. See, I'm glad that I prepared for this. So let me explain a couple things about the importance of that formation, because this is exactly the imagery that Paul is leaning into to talk about how the church ought to operate. The first thing is when you have soldiers' information standing together, everyone is doing their job. Do you know how much chaos comes when one of the guys in the back tries to do what the guy in the front is doing? You leave yourself open for the darts and the arrows that come in, and your whole formation crumbles. It is absolutely essential that every soldier does his job. Absolutely essential. In fact, a lot of the soldiers have backup responsibilities, so that if somebody were to be taken out, they have somebody else come in and take up his position so that somebody else can take up your position to make sure that you stand firm against the enemy. A very important thing. Everyone doing their job. One of the biggest causes of disunity in the church is when you mind their business instead of yours. You get what I'm saying? When you are micromanaging how other people do things. And we do it with a lot of things. Some things are small things, some things are big things. But in essence, what we're doing is we're moving to somebody else's position. Oh, well, the pastor, he should be doing it like this. Well, that's not really your position, though. Well, the board member, they should be doing this. Well, that's, again, not really your position. Well, this parent over there, they shouldn't parent like that. She shouldn't have raised her daughter like that. He shouldn't have raised his daughter like that. They shouldn't have done that. That's not your position. You stay in your formation so that the church can stand together. You see people doing it with ministries too. Well, so-and-so is doing this ministry, and I don't really like how they're doing it. Okay. So are you doing a ministry? More often than not, the answer is no, I'm not doing a ministry. I just want to tell other people how to do their ministry. But sometimes that's not the case. And yeah, I'm doing a ministry, and I think that they ought to do it like this. It's like, okay, but that's not your ministry. Your ministry is not micromanaging other people's ministry, right? I think we can all agree on that. And everybody knows this. It's just that we see somebody else do something, we think, no, but this time I really need to say something, even though we also wouldn't like them to say it towards our ministry. And it's kind of like this. So again, what's in our culture is getting into the church. In the culture, we have Karens. You guys know what Karens are? They're the people who are always like, let me speak to your manager. In the church, we're starting to get Karens there too. Everyone wants to talk to the manager, and it's like, okay, hold on. Go to the person and fix that. Okay? You do that. Take care of that. Instead of this whole everybody against each other's throats. And when you have conflict with somebody, or a perceived conflict, or you just don't like them, or you just don't like how they're doing it, remember, you're citizens of heaven. Even when you disagree with something, you can still let it go. If you want practice on this, make yourself a Facebook account. And then friend a whole bunch of people you don't really like. And then when they post their stupid nonsense, you're like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Just scroll on by. Just scroll on by. You don't have to comment. You don't have to say something passive-aggressive. You don't have to tell somebody else, hey, Grace, look at this guy. He's an idiot. You don't have to do that. You can just let it go. And something else about military history that's important for this little picture I got here, is that when you have a mediocre soldier, but they're all standing together, these are people who aren't even that good with their sword or spear, depending on the formation. They're not really even that good with their weapon. But you put them all together in formation and they hold formation, they will win over a single soldier that's really, really talented with the sword or spear. Every time. Formations win over solitary soldiers. Every time. That's why they did formations. You can train people for formation relatively quickly. You can't train them to be a master swordsman overnight, but marching in step, these are, it takes a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, but you start getting the whole marching in step thing, coming to formation when you're coming to the enemy, these kinds of things. Any mediocre soldier in a formation can win against talented single soldiers, which takes me to the second thing. Not just everyone doing their job, everyone moving together. This is where everything starts falling apart. Because there is, especially as Americans, there's this bit of us that we have main character syndrome. Everything's about me. But then also, a lot of times in the Western world, we don't really know how to sacrifice ourselves for the good of others. We don't know how to stay in step with other people. You know what I mean? We've got this no, I'm going to be belligerent about this. I'm going to be ornery about this. And it's it's not really helpful, though. Because soldiers have to not just attack information, they have to retreat information. Soldiers have to attack information. They also have to retreat information. See, there's two times in a church's growth that cause some of the biggest disunity and tensions. The first is when a church is growing. You want to see a church that fights amongst itself? Watch a church that's growing. That doesn't sound right, but it is true. The reason why is because the people who have been there for the longest don't want to lose their voice. They don't want the church to stop being what they remember it being, what they loved it being. They don't want it to change. Even when the change causes the growth, they still don't want the change. They don't want to feel like the church is getting away from them, that they no longer have a voice, they no longer have an opinion. They're doing things that I don't like, and nobody's consulting me anymore. The second biggest area of tension in a church is when they're shrinking. But usually when a church is shrinking, their concern is not people aren't hearing about the gospel. Their concern tends to be we can no longer sustain ourselves without numbers. The purpose of the church gets lost, and all that takes its place is fear. Let's not try anything because we might fail. Let's not spend money because what if we don't have enough money for the next month? Everything becomes a survival instinct. The times when churches are usually the most peaceful and restful is when they're neutral. They're not doing ministries that are reaching people. They're not doing new things. They haven't really lost people yet, but they're still maintaining the status quo. People love neutral. They say that they don't, but they really do. They want everything to continue just how it is because you can ignore problems. When nothing's really happening, you can ignore a problem. Hey, this is fine. We're not losing people. We're not gaining people, but it's okay. I mean, it's fine. Really, it's fine. I'm okay with this. We can continue to exist. And you see people do this in their marriages too. I have done nothing over the past week to encourage my spouse. I've done nothing to make them feel loved and accepted. I've done nothing to build them up. But it's okay because I came home from work today and they're still there and I'm still here. Neutral. Everything is staying. It's all right. The biggest areas of tension. Watch this. I want to challenge you every single day this week, commit 1 hour of your day. There's 24 hours, you got enough time, okay? 1 hour of your day to reading the Bible and praying. You just watch how many times you get in a fight with your spouse. Just watch. Just watch. The stuff's there already. You just don't know that it's there because you're neutral. So you've got, anger issues or sadness issues or whatever's going on in here. You just don't know that it's there because everything is status quo. It's all right. I know for myself, and I speak for most leaders when I say, I care much more for attitude than for talent. Everybody always wants to wow you with their talent. Look, I'm the best musician. I'm the best pastor. I'm the best whatever. They always want to wow you with these huge things that they've got. That's a single soldier out there, best spearman in the world, but how is he in formation? How is he in formation? Does he have your back? Do you have his back? Are you moving in formation, in attack and in retreat? Our culture doesn't have that idea. Our culture has no respect for authority. Our culture has no sense of camaraderie or faithfulness. If you don't like your job, leave. Don't stick it out. Don't worry about being the best employee you can be because you don't want people to walk all over you. Get away from anybody that's toxic. If that's your parents, throw them out. There's yesterday's jam. Talent gets you in the door, but the problem is character keeps you there. What you really need is Christians who come alongside each other and genuinely care about the other person more than themselves. Paul's going to talk about this in chapter 2, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But moving on. Have you ever been part of a team with one bad egg? For those of you who went to college, for instance, you ever have a group project? And the people who've done this already know what I'm about to say. And there's that one useless member of the team that doesn't do their work. So you're just kind of trying to bluff your way through it because their whole section's not good. And then, of course, the professor gets all of you guys in trouble. When you're part of a team with one bad egg, it ruins the whole lot. Well, I went to this church. It was a really nice church, except when I went into the kitchen. See, I was at this church one time. This is why I bring up the thing about the kitchen. I went to this church one time. I was associate pastor there. And there was this woman. Her name was either Sandy or I think it was Sandy. She's since passed away. So It's not like she's going to get embarrassed from this story. But anyways, there was this teen girl that went into the kitchen and was getting a soda out of the fridge. And for some reason, she just decided that this was going to be the hill that she died on today. So she decided to just talk real ugly and hateful towards this teen girl. I have no idea why. We let whoever they want go into the kitchen and grab something out of the fridge. Have at it, Same thing here. I mean, you want something out of the fridge, go for it. Have fun. There's some milk in there from yesterday if you want some. I don't care. Have at it, But for whatever reason, she just decided this was the hill she was going to die on and just made it very, very uncomfortable and awkward. And it made it where, the church was nice, but there's just, if you don't do the right thing, they're going to walk all over you. You know what I mean? Ever been in that kind of a situation? It's kind of a little hostile. Like, they accept you at the door, but then when you're past the door, there's just a lot of tension and infighting, and it's just, it was nice, but. And that's what I'm talking about when soldiers are not in formation. Well, the commander, he should do this, and the commander should do that. Every soldier thinks that he could be a commander until he's a commander. And then he realizes he has no idea what he's talking about. It's okay. The commander doesn't know what he's talking about either. It's totally fine. But he says here in this verse, sorry, let me go back to it. Come on, there it is. That you are standing firm in one spirit, and he says in one accord. So the idea here of being in one accord is basically you have one intention, one purpose, one driving thing. For soldiers, this is absolutely essential. If you've got soldiers who are divided on what they're doing, it's very disruptive. Let's say, for instance, you have this core of soldiers just like, yes, let's go, let's conquer the enemy. But you have like one or two people that just like, oh, guys, we're going to lose. This isn't good. I don't even know why we're here. Well, they're the ones who are on the right, and they start spreading this discontent among the troops. It spreads. It gets ugly real fast. And pretty soon you have, mutinies and all these different things. It's not good. But moral of the story being, to have one accord as soldiers in Christ, as citizens of heaven, means you have one driving passion. This is the thing that we're doing. This is it. This is it. If it's anything other than God being glorified and people being saved, you're wrong. You're wrong. If it's anything besides that, you're wrong and you need to change your attitude. That's it. There has to be nothing else but Christ and Him crucified. That's it. I can be the smartest guy or the dumbest guy. I can be the best preacher or the worst preacher. That simply does not matter. What matters is Christ and Him crucified. There's going to be things that happen in this church you don't like. There's going to be people that do things you wish they do it a different way. There's going to be people who come and, they're not a good this, or they shouldn't do that, and this. Soldiers stand together so that they can attack and retreat in formation. You don't remember how the one person over here in the on the right flank, how he did that one thing 5 years ago? Let it go. Soldiers stand in formation. And you might think, I'm really beating this into the ground. Absolutely, I'm beating this into the ground. That's exactly the point. All day, every single day this week, you've been bombarded with this whole tribalism that's going on in America right now. Us versus them. And I've got about 1 hour to build up as much as I can that that's not how we're doing things. And the thing that surprises me the most is all this week, when you were being bombarded with this message that the news gave you or whatever, you didn't think once or twice about, wow, they're really going on and on and on about it. But when a pastor starts talking about how we need to have more unity, I can guarantee you're probably thinking, get on with it. See the problem? There is within us this blind acceptance. This is how we're doing things. We need to do this. Obviously, the other problem, they're ruining America. Christians need to be above that and better than that. To be in one accord. We're here to love God. We're here to love people. We're here to serve both well. We're sharing the gospel. We're inviting people to church. This is what we're all about. It's not about convenience. It's not about things going my way. I'm not trying to gather people who are unhappy at their church to my church so they can be unhappy here. I'm trying to see people saved. If your selling pitch is come to our church so you'll be happy, I can guarantee you that the people who come are not going to be happy here. They will be for a couple months. Yeah. Until they realize that there's something that's not perfect, and then they'll rant and rave about that. You don't build a church on satisfaction. You build a church on sacrifice. Christ's sacrifice. And we follow that. There are things that you don't like, but you sacrifice your flesh for the unity of the body. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. I mean, unity only comes through the Holy Spirit. Anybody that tells you something else is not going to, they're just lying. They're just trying to sell you something. If you want to stand together, you have to partake of God together. You have to seek God together. And he says here, contending together is how he says the next thing. Contending together for the faith of the gospel. So we're in one accord, contending together for the faith of the gospel. Contending is funny because we talk about not being a contentious person. It's kind of the same thing. Contending together means you're fighting. Being contentious means you're fighting. The difference being contending together is we're fighting together, and being contentious is we're fighting with each other. There's always a reason to be divisive. I think we've learned that definitely from 2018 and on. The thing is, don't. There's always going to be a reason to be divisive. Just don't be. So he says, contending together for the faith of the gospel. You know, a lot of people have a lot of faith in a lot of things nowadays. You see people, for instance, that have faith in politics or politicians. If this bill is signed, it's going to save America. If this bill is signed, it's going to ruin everything. If we elect so-and-so, the problem will be solved. If we elect so-and-so, the problem will be solved. A lot of faith going on with people. For some people, they don't have faith in politics or politicians. They have faith in people, or a man. If we elect this pastor, then all of our problems will be changed. They'll just all go away. If we, my dad, my husband, whatever, we're putting our faith in some person. Sometimes we put faith in self-worth or in money. Instead of all those things, he says, together for the faith of the gospel. Have faith that comes from the gospel. Now, this does not mean that we agree on everything. There's actually going to be a lot of things that we disagree on. What the main point is, though, even when you disagree on specifics, you still agree on the idea. Disagree on the minors, agree on the majors. I'll give you a great example. The church has been known throughout its history of being very, making big deals, mountains out of molehills, if you're at all familiar with church history. One such example that's more recent, but maybe not super recent, is the whole should hats be worn in church thing. It's interesting because wherever you are in the world, this argument drastically changes. And, it's the funniest thing. I was talking to one person. I was not taking the conversation seriously. Maybe I should have. This was a couple years ago. But she was saying about how men ought not to wear hats in the church, and she was going on. And I said, well, why do you think that? And she said, well, because the Bible says so. And I said, okay, but the verse that you're talking about also says that women should have head coverings. So if you're going to be contentious about a man wearing a hat, you ought to be just as contentious about women not wearing hats. But she didn't know what to do with it then. She said, I don't know. There's just not a whole lot of wisdom in fights because it's not smart or wise to fight with one another. Think about how stupid that would be if you saw a formation of soldiers. They've got the high ground, they've got the weapons, and then there's these little kids that are throwing rocks. You're like, oh, yeah, those soldiers are definitely going to win. Well, then out of nowhere, the soldiers they put their shields down, they start hacking at each other. And before long, there's only 2 people left. And one of them's sword arm is all boogered up, so he can't even hold his shield for the formation. Surely you would look at that and you would say, how silly. The same thing happens to churches all the time. All the time. One of my pastor friends right now is dealing with having to be voted out of his church because of something like this. Another one, the board turned on him and had a emergency vote that they are having what's today? Either today or this week sometime to see if whether or not he's going to be their pastor next week. I'm telling you, churches are known for these piddly, stupid arguments that just simply don't matter. Here's what does matter. We agree on honoring Christ. That's it. That's it. Anything else is secondary. But I really care about this secondary issue. Fine. But at the end of the day, remember, you can't control everybody else. We have policies and procedures for the church. There is no policy at this church, thou shalt not wear hats in the building. That is not a policy that we have. We do have a policy in our bylaws that says that members cannot be divisive. So before you start fighting a war about something that doesn't matter, remember that in starting that war, you're going to break the formation. You're going to break the formation. Soldiers cannot stand if they're all hacking at each other. It's impossible. Impossible. Remember 9, I guess it would be 10-11. Remember 10-11. Wait, did I say that right? No, 9-12. Gee whiz. I'm all over the place. Remember 9-12, the day after 9/11. Okay, remember this. Everybody had each other's backs. It was a whole different America from today. It's only been 20 years. It hasn't been that long, guys. Things can change pretty quickly. So live your life worthy of the gospel. Let's just kind of hop through the verse here. That's how it started. Then I will hear that you are standing firm in one spirit. Do you hear what he's saying? He's saying, what these verses mean is that to live your life worthy of the gospel, you have to be united as a church. That's what he just said. Live your life worthy of the gospel, then I will hear that you are standing firm in one spirit. All we did was take out a couple dependent clauses in the middle. That's all we did. It's the same sentence. We just got straight from point A to point B. Live your life worthy of the gospel by standing firm in the Spirit. A nation that is divided against itself, we kind of see what's happening there, right? Every election gains more and more importance because it's the only chance that people have of getting the one up over their enemies. Everybody's at each other's throats. Everything becomes a really big issue. Anytime that the person on your side does something stupid, it's proof that they don't belong there. Anytime that my person does something stupid, you're taking it out of context. Do you see that happening in America today? Do you see people stop being friends with other people because they don't agree on who they voted for? Do you see people using violence to say, man, we'd all be a lot better off if somebody would just shoot that president? I have heard these conversations, guys. These are conversations that I have had over the last year with people. There is just an unbelievable amount of people being at each other's throats. And so, yes, I am beating this into the ground on purpose because we as a church have to be above that. Unity honors heaven. Winning an argument, that doesn't honor heaven. That strokes your own ego. That's it. That's it. Of course, that doesn't mean that you deserve salvation simply by, living your life in an honorable way. Rather, you are showing honor and you are showing honor of something you have already received. Now, I want to close out with this last little idea here. If you find yourself today in a place where you're just not overly thankful, remember this month we're doing the every single day of thankfulness. Remember that? Every single day you're thinking one single thing that you're thankful for. One single thing. Don't cluster things together. See them together. See them separate. So, like, for instance, last Sunday I was thankful for Micah. Not my kids, Micah. One thing. Focus on one thing. Don't clump things together, because then you won't be as thankful. Today, what I'm thankful for is for my wife. One thing. One thing. If you find yourself and you're having a hard time finding different things to be thankful for, and you just feel like you've gotten to a place where you're just not a real thankful person, if at the same time you are refusing to live united with others in the church, you will not be thankful. You cannot be at war with other people in the church and still be thankful. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're going to find yourself dissatisfied with everything. So I urge you, if there's any unfinished business, make it finished. Sometimes you need to get over it. Sometimes you need to address it. You really have to have the wisdom to know. But whatever it is, God desires for us to move forward as a church in formation. Information. Not breaking each other apart, even if the person didn't vote for that one guy. You know that guy. Still, our purpose here is to stand in formation. So we're going to go to prayer. Lord, but thank you for your word today. We thank you you're doing a work in us, God. You are making us more thankful. So, Lord, help us to live at peace with one another so that we can be thankful. I want to open up the altars. If there's anyone here, regardless of what it is, but you need prayer. If it's something where, sure, you're having a problem being in one accord, that's fine. But if it's something, anything at all, where you just need prayer, I just want to open the altars up for everybody. Even if there was nothing in this message that applied to you, and you feel like that was a total waste of my time, but you still need prayer, then still come up to the front. We're going to wait just a minute, just in case. But if you need prayer for anything today, don't hesitate. Come on up and we'll pray for you. Just going to give it a minute. You need prayer for anything at all. Lord, I pray that you'd do a work in us today. You'd build unity. Lord, help us to stay in formation. Lord, we've got all the right tools. We've got all the right weapons. We've got all the right armor. Help us to stay in formation, God. God, help us to stay in formation. As we go into communion, I'd just like you to keep thinking about the way that God's doing a work in us. Just be thinking about the way that Christ is not done. He's doing a work. He started it, and he's faithful. He'll see it through. I don't know if somebody needs to hear this today, but when you trust in Christ, you're not trusting him that nothing bad will happen. You're trusting him that even when bad things happen, he's still good. God's still good. God is still good. Let this be your heart's statement today. God is still good. Whatever's on your mind, whatever's bothering you, God is still good.